people. My voice is a bit croaky today. Forgive me for that. I think I've been talking too much. Welcome to another lovely episode of Labor Room, and I'm so glad that you're here with me another week listening to this lovely podcast, because we're doing it all for you. Both pregnant women, their husbands, and people that are aspiring to become pregnant women. So this podcast is actually for everybody. Anyway, today we're actually discussing something very, very in-depth, a topic that is not very common. Some of you might have heard it at your antenatal classes. Some may never have heard of it before, but this topic is very important. Of course, it's something that we pray never happens to any of you, but then just because it does happen to some people, we need to discuss it so you are aware, so that if you notice any of the symptoms or signs, you can immediately report it to your doctor and it can be taken care of. What am I talking about? I'm talking about pre-ecclampsia. Have you ever heard of it before? Pre-ecclampsia. Very interesting topic. Okay, I'll tell you about it. Pre-ecclampsia is a serious pregnancy complication. It causes changes in your blood vessels. It can affect organs in your body like the kidney, the liver, even your brain. It also affects the placenta, and that's where the baby comes in. And some studies say that actually, because the cause of preeclampsia is unknown, but some studies say it usually originates from the placenta, because when a woman has preeclampsia, especially if it's uncontrollable, if the doctors cannot control it, because preeclampsia usually leads to high blood pressure, protein in the urine, and all that. So if doctors find it uncontrollable, what they usually do is deliver the baby, you understand? And you can't say a woman has preeclampsia until it is after 20 weeks of gestation. So what they usually do is deliver the baby, if it becomes uncontrollable. And you notice that once the baby has been delivered, the blood pressure usually goes back to normal, or the preeclampsia usually subsides and all that. Although there are some stubborn cases where it still persists and they still have to give drugs and all that. So basically, what am I saying? Preeclampsia, it's usually high blood pressure with protein in the urine after 20 weeks of pregnancy. So before 20 weeks of pregnancy, we can't call that preeclampsia. Probably call it hypertension in pregnancy. But after 20 weeks, especially if there's protein in the urine, then we call it preeclampsia. And how do you know if you have preeclampsia? One of the symptoms you will notice is if you're having severe persistent headaches, so you're just having headaches all the time, you're taking paracetamol, this headache is not going away, and you're sleeping well, this headache is not going away, you've eaten, you've ruled out all the possible causes of headache, and it still persists, it might be a sign that you might have preeclampsia. The headaches are accompanied by disturbances in your vision. So you're noticing that you have blurred vision, or you're seeing double, or you can't see as well as you used to, especially when you have those headaches. It might be a sign that you have preeclampsia. If you're having nausea and vomiting, especially at that stage after 20 weeks, usually most women, their nausea and vomiting would have subsided. But if you notice that your nausea and vomiting is suddenly coming up again with headaches and all that, then you might suspect that, okay, maybe I have preeclampsia. And then another major symptom is swelling in the ankles and the feet. Swelling in the ankle and feet can be normal during pregnancy because there is something called fluid retention, and I always say elevate your legs, basically. So put your legs, if you're sitting down, put your legs on a high stool, or if you're lying down, put your legs on one or two pillows to help the fluid to flow back. It will help to increase the return of the fluid. However, in preeclampsia, the fluid retention is usually more severe. You will notice that the swelling in your ankle and your feet is more. When it's becoming more than usual, you should find out and ask your doctor that, okay, why is my own case different from others and everything. And then another sign that you might notice is rapid weight gain. So all of a sudden, you have just gained so much weight within a very, very short period. And it's like, okay, did I eat that much, or what happened? This weight gain is usually caused by fluid retention, like I said before, which is a sign of preeclampsia. So if you notice any rapid increase in your weight, you need to report it to your doctor because it might be a sign of preeclampsia. So basically what I just told you is that preeclampsia is high blood pressure with protein in the urine after 20 weeks of gestation. And it can happen to anybody at all, And usually the solution is usually to deliver the baby. Normally, we try to manage it with drugs, so antihypertensive drugs that are safe in pregnancy and other measures. But when it becomes uncontrollable and is becoming a threat to the mother, because like I told you, it can affect your kidneys, it can affect your liver, it can affect the brain. So when it becomes a threat to the mother, the best thing is just deliver the baby. And depending on the age of the baby, because if it's from 28 weeks and above in this part of the world, yes, the baby can still survive, they can do all their best to take care of the baby. But anything below 28 weeks, really, there is not much they can do for your baby in this part of the world. But in other countries like probably the US or the UK, at 24 weeks, they can still save your baby and, try and take care of the baby in an incubator till the baby is fine and all that. But in this part of the world, it's from 28 weeks of gestation. So those are the signs to look for. And I hope you've learned one or two things about preeclampsia. This podcast was not to scare you, but it was just to make you aware of the possible things that could happen so that you could catch it on time, let your doctor know, and everything can go smoothly. After all, what's this show for? To make sure that you have a safe delivery. So I hope I was able to teach you one or two things about preeclampsia in this short time that we have. Next week, we'll be discussing something else, but I'm not going to tell you. So tune in next week and find out what it is. And trust me, you're going to love it. Have a lovely day ahead.